It's officially time to start checking off the boxes of the offseason. We are days away of putting this wild offseason to bed, but there are still things that we got to check off the list. So, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what those checklists are that the 49ers got to wrap up, put a bow on it, and maybe sign on the dotted line somewhere along the way. But we're going to talk about everything that we got cooking as the San Francisco 49ers get ready for week one. We are so close from our first game week of the year. Typically, we start the show by saying drop an SDS in the chat. And I already see the gang ahead of the curve dropping the SDS in the chat. We're gonna let's change it up a little bit today. Instead of dropping an SDS in the chat, we're gonna go ahead and drop a hashtag pay Nick Bosa in the chat. I want to see you spam the chat. Just light it up. Hashtag pay Nick Bosa. That's the only thing I want to see in the chat. Hashtag pay Nick Bosa. Run it up. Forever Faithful, the first one to get it in there. Let's go. You already know what to do. We're going to get things popping, baby. We're going to go and get going right about meow. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. Ho, 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 baby. It is time to rock and roll. Again, theme of today's show is checklist items, things that we got to put a bow on. I've never been so excited to put a bow on the end of an off season ever before in my life than this one. So I cannot wait to be able to get so close through all of this. I'm looking forward to it. But again, and also stick around, by the way. Stick around. I have an announcement to make. We are going to have a very special guest on the channel tomorrow that I'm really excited to have because of the insight that they can provide onto kind of what the 49ers are working through right now, all that different type of stuff. We're getting someone from the inside. So I'm excited to have this person on tomorrow, but I'll announce that later. But we are going to talk about the number one thing on the list right now. And the number one thing on the list is pay Nick Bosa. It's been trending on Twitter for 3 days now. You know, ever since we decided it was time to start the campaign. And again, if you guys remember, going back to the hashtag pay George Kittle movement, I was really probably annoying during that time period because the entire offseason, I was just almost every other post was like hashtag pay George Kittle, right? And the whole thought process was, I got a lot of pushback for using the hashtag pay George Kittle because everyone was like, George is going to get paid. It's George, right? Like it's going to happen. And, like I've mentioned before, I was fully aware of kind of what was going on behind the scenes with the whole George Kittle negotiation. I knew it was very difficult. I knew some crazy twists and turns had popped up throughout those negotiations. So I was very bullish on like making it crystal clear that, I'm not going to come out and say and provide that information, but I was making it crystal clear that it wasn't just a foregone conclusion that George Kittle was going to get paid the contract that he was looking for. It was, as you guys know, and it's come to fruition. It was a really hard negotiation, and some things happened, but we got it done. I will say though that one of the champion moments of the hashtag Pay George Kittle movement was that his family and friends were told at a certain point that they had to stop using the hashtag. So that's how I knew. Our mission was successful. That to the point at the highest level, they had to tell Kittle, his family, and his representation to stop using the hashtag Pay George Kittle. So I've been a little bit more low key this year because I don't know what's been going on. I don't have any information of what's going on with the George Kittle situation, or excuse me, the Nick Bosa situation. And I think we've all kind of believed that Nick Bosa was going to get paid, right? I don't think really many of us have had too many hesitations behind the thought process that Nick Bosa wasn't going to get paid. I really do think that he's still going to get paid, but we're whoo, we are up to you talk about deadline, we are up against it. So I would imagine that, if the San Francisco 49ers are going to pay Nick Bosa, that it happens in the next day or two. Because as I've expressed on earlier lives, if we get to that Sunday, basically a week away from kickoff, that is when I'm smashing the panic button, because I truthfully believe that Nick Bosa is unique in the sense that he doesn't need a full training camp. He doesn't need all this acclimation process and periods and timing and all that type of stuff. I think you need a full week though. You need a full week of game preparation. You know what I mean? Like, you need to be able to start watching the tape. You need to start understanding the game plan. You need to start scouting your opponents, the opposing tackles, learning their tendencies, start setting up your pass rush plan and how you're going to win in certain situations. Like, there's a lot of preparation that goes into these games. They don't just show up and just play. There's a ton of preparation that goes into it. So at minimum, if he's going to play week one, I need a full week of Bosa in the building, with his teammates, in the meeting rooms, going through everything. He's got a new defensive coordinator that he hasn't worked with yet. So that's what I need. And if we don't get to that point, we're panicking. So I hope that this is the situation, that it happens within the next day or two. Like, that's really what I'm hoping for, because we've heard from Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. They both clearly don't like this situation. And we've seen this group push it all the way up till the deadline. Parag Marate and his group, they are very rigid and kind of, outside perspective looking in, they're very rigid in how this stuff goes down. So, think of the Trent Williams contract negotiation, for example. It took Trent Williams calling Kyle Shanahan to be like, listen, Kyle, I've got the offer that I want from Kansas City. I'm going to sign it if you don't give me what I want. And it was like 12 o'clock at night at the deadline. And Trent had to be like, listen, if you're not going to give me what I want, I'm going to sign elsewhere. And Kyle calls Parag, and boom, deal's done. He gets paid. Again, it's a lot of theatrics involved, it feels like, when it comes to getting these deals done for whatever reason. At the end of the day, as long as they get done in a timely fashion, that's really all we should care about. Now, timely isn't the key word here with this negotiation, but still, just get it done. Just get it done, man. I see you guys saying get the breaking news right now while we were on stream. That would be hectic. That would be hectic because, as you guys know, I would go into straight, like, I've got to post to 17 platforms while on live, squirrel, celebrating, hyped, but I got to post fast, running. So you would just watch my head explode live if that were to be announced while we were on. So I don't even know how I would react if that broke while we were live on stream talking about it. But we're close, man. We're close. It has to be close. It has to be. He's got to be in the building by minimum Monday. He's got to be in the building by Monday, and we got to get it done. There's no more time. No more time. Time is running out. Time is not our ally on this one. So we got to see. We got to see. Jedi says, do they not have the money? What's the odds of that? Just a question. Again, I'm not a cap expert. And I realized I'm going to stop providing any type of cap analysis. I think it was that 2021 offseason when the 49ers had about $15 million in cap space, and they made Trent Williams the highest paid left tackle in history. They made Kyle Juszczyk the highest paid fullback in history. They signed Alex Mack. They signed Samson Ebukam. They signed like 4 other people, and when it was all said and done, they had more cap space. So I am never like I'm not a mathematician to begin with. You know, my ADHD really doesn't jive with numbers. That's why I'm first of all not a training camp statistician. I really don't reference stats all that often. I'm trying to be better about incorporating it in. I'm a big visual analysis person. So I like to watch and see with my eyes, and I don't make judgments off box scores. So again, like I said, I thought the 49ers were going to be screwed heading into the 2021 offseason. They had 15 mil in cap space, and they signed 2 players to record-breaking contracts for their position, plus additional players, and they had more at the end. I was like, I'm white flag. I'm not trying, because that was the whole thing I was saying. I was like, oh, they only have 15 million in cap space. But so the point of the story is that Parag Marate has the loopholes. He knows which levers to pull. He knows which buttons to push to open up more cap space if they really need it. Now, obviously, if Nick Bosa is asking for an astronomical figure that is really going to impact them future years out, that's a different conversation. But for this year, they should be fine, because they should be able to kick the cap hit for this year out beyond to future years. So we'll see. We'll see what's happening and what the situation is. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it's going to be an easy negotiation or an easy contract to figure out in regards to how it impacts this team in the future. And you know, it's one of those hard things. Like, yeah, we're going to be excited to be able to sign Nick Bosa, but there will be cap casualties along the way that will feel that impact in a year or two. Now, that's just where we're at. And so Trey Lance is going to carry a dead cap hit of I don't know what the dead cap will be, but it will be for at least 2 more years. He'll have a dead cap this year, and then he'll have a dead cap hit next year as well. I don't have those numbers in front of me right away, but we definitely got to figure it out. I see someone in the chat saying I'm hearing flight scheduled for San Jose. I tried to stay out of the flight game stuff because I got a little bit mixed up in the Debo Samuel hype and posting a picture of Debo Samuel at the airport, and in fact he was just going to a Warriors game. That was a moment of reflection for me, because I was so just like trying to figure out what was going on with Debo, and we were trying to find any clue we could get, because if you remember, we were on live when one of the viewers was like commented in the chat and was like, "Did you see Debo's brother comment that Debo wants to get traded?" And I was like, "No." And so on live, I go up to my Facebook page, I find it. It's Debo's brother saying, like, going back and forth with a fan saying, "Oh, Debo wants out. Debo wants to get traded. Debo's out of here. Debo's not even playing for this franchise." Like all this type of stuff, and I'm like, I'm on live. We're reading it on live. I'm like, I have to post this. So on live, we posted. We do what we do. Screenshotted it, put it over an image. We posted it, and it went instantly viral. And then that was the next day where Debo Samuel told Jeff Darlington that he has requested a trade. Like, so we were in the weeds with that Debo Samuel situation. So I'm gonna go easy on any type of flight tracking. I learned my lesson because we were in the thick of it, man. We were like trying to figure out like what's going on with Debo because all the scrubbing of the social media, like we turned into internet detectives and we cracked the code, but we did go a little too far, admittedly. So I learned my lesson. He might be on his way to San Jose. If he's on his way to San Jose, that's a good thing, for sure. But hey, I'm gonna go easy with that one because I was like, "Oh, Debo's back to the Bay. Let's go." He's like, "Oh, I'm going to a Warriors game," and then dipped out right after that. I was like, "Oh, I feel like an idiot." So yeah, I remember that. It was good times. But yeah, we want to get Nick Bosa paid. That's obviously the number one priority right now. It's the same type of energy, right? When he posted that picture of New York, and then everyone's connecting the dots that you know, oh well, his agents in New York. It's the same concept. We're in the same spot. Like any clue we can get, obviously, we're gonna probably jump on it, but I'm just gonna be a little bit patient um, with the travel itinerary up until this point. But yeah, I think we're close, man. Like again, Jason Dumas put out that report 2 days ago, basically saying that he plans to play on week 1, and they plan to get it done, pretty shortly here. So that feels like, if he's on a flight to SF, man, that feels good. Feels like it makes sense. Um, but yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what's gonna happen. Oh, I like this one. Nicholas John Bosa got to get his honey. Absolutely, get that man his honey. Get him his honey. I hope it happens soon, man. I really, and that's the thing. That's the biggest. That's the biggest check that we have. That biggest box that we got to check is we got to pay Nick Bosa. we definitely got to pay Nick Bosa. We've already checked off the quarterback issue. So that's been taken care of. That was the biggest issue prior to Nick Bosa. Who's going to be quarterback 2? What's that? We figured it out. Okay? Check that one off. Okay, Nick Bosa, that box, we got to check it off. We've talked enough about that. The next box we got to talk about, who's going to be the week 1 kicker for the San Francisco 49ers? As I'm sure you guys already know, the 49ers signed a kicker to the practice squad today, which is a pretty solid indication that something, it might be an indication of what we see coming for Jake Moody. Now, John Lynch spoke to the media yesterday. He said that he feels pretty, I forget the exact quote that he said. I think he said something along the lines of Jake Moody is trending towards being ready for week 1, which again is still non-committal on him being ready week 1. But he alluded that he might be ready for week 1, Jake Moody, that is. But the 49ers do sign a practice squad kicker today. So as we do know, the San Francisco 49ers can bring up and elevate practice squad players. So if it gets down to that point, the 49ers, don't have to place Moody on IR. They don't have to do none of that. All they got to do is Moody would be inactive, and then they would just elevate the kicker for week 1. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. So we gotta wait. We gotta wait. We're not clear yet. So the 49ers did sign kicker Matthew Wright today. He kicked for the Chiefs and Pittsburgh Steelers last year. He didn't do all that bad last year, from what I can see. He kicked for Kansas City in week 4 and week 5. He was 5 of 5 on PATs week 4. He was 3 of 3 on PATs week 5. He was 1 of 1 on kicks 30 through 39 yards. 1 of 1 on kicks 40 through 49 yards week 4. And then on week 5, he had one. He was 1 of 1 from 50 plus yards, but he did miss a 40 through 49 yard field goal week 5. And then he ended up on Pittsburgh week 10, 11, 12, and 13, where he went over that time. He went 7 of 7 on extra points, and he went 12 of 14 on field goals, which, I mean, not that bad. He was 1 of 1 from 50 plus yards out. He was 5 of 6 from 40 to 49 yards out, and 5 of 6 from 30 to 39 yards out. 1 of 1 from 20 to 29 yards out. So seems like a decent enough kicker. But again, we'll see. We shall see who's going to be kicking week 1. Some more drama heading into week 1. So that's the other box that we got to check. Who's going to kick? Definitely is feeling like it's trending towards Wright is going to be the kicker, and like we kind of indicated how it's going to look. So that's definitely what it seems like it's going to be. So we gotta wait and see on that one, right? So, but another box that we gotta check is we gotta get healthy, and we do have some players that are down, or at least kind of working through some things. Obviously, we know Talno Hufanga has the Baker cyst. There's been no indication whether or not that will determine if he will be able to play or not. It does sound like George Kittle is a little bit banged up. So I think John Lynch said he's crossing his fingers, something along those lines, that he hopes George Kittle will be able to play against the Steelers. So it sounds like Kittle is working through a nagging injury. I guess he was off to the side. Also off to the side at practice was Mason, Dre Greenlaw, Tashawn Gibson, Oren Burks. So we'll see. We'll see in that regard. But some good news that we did get is that we did get some Elijah Mitchell news. So we did hear from Matt Lively that Elijah Mitchell says he's ready to play week 1. We don't have a determination if he is confirmed to play week 1. He just says he's ready to play week 1, which obviously is a pretty solid indication that he will be ready to go. But as of right now, we still got to hear officially from the team that he will play week 1. I do expect him to play based on this. So that's good news, because if Mason is hurt, we need Mitchell for sure. So Matt Lively went on to say that Mitchell said that he's not worried about his physicality and the previous injuries. So as we know, Mitchell has missed a majority of the preseason. In fact, all of the preseason. He's missed a lot of training camp, and this is the if there's really any knock of Elijah Mitchell, that's all it is. It's just being available. That's it. Just staying healthy. Which again, I don't fully blame on a player. It's just the set of circumstances that he's facing. Since his rookie year, he's been dinged up a lot. So we do need them, though. We need Elijah, and especially if Jordan Mason can't go. We also did get a report today that the 49ers are planning on using more load management with Christian McCaffrey, which was interesting to me, because last year when the 49ers traded for Christian McCaffrey, he played a lot. Like a lot, remember? Like we were getting to the point where it was like they were ahead in games, like even multiple scores, and they're still running Christian McCaffrey down the middle in between the tackles. And we're like, dude, put someone else in. We were like, what do we do? Like it was like, man, we need this guy fresh. We need him ready to go. And it's like we're closing out games with Christian McCaffrey, and it felt like perfect opportunity for Jordan Mason. And like a specific game where they gave Jordan Mason that opportunity was against the Saints. So in that final drive against the Saints, they allowed Jordan Mason to put the game away. So that was nice, which we felt he could do. But it's still imperative that we get healthy and get these guys back. So we need Kittle back. We need Dre Greenlaw back. Dre Greenlaw been out. We need Talanoa Hufanga. We need all hands on deck, because when we do our full kind of Steelers preview, the Steelers are going to be a tough matchup. I don't know how the fan base is feeling about the Steelers, but me personally, I do not look at that as a cakewalk. I don't look at that as a guaranteed dub. I don't look at that as a sleepwalk. You get in, get out, just get the dub and move on. That's going to be a week 1 battle. It really is. It's going to be a week 1 battle. I even saw that the 49ers, I think they're going in as favorites if you're talking about betting odds and things like that. But I did see NFL, uh you know how they do their predictions of all their analysts, and 6 out of 10 picked the Steelers to beat the 49ers. So, based on that perception, they're underdogs. Um, so I do think it's going to be a hard one. It's going to be a hard one. Um, they got a good team. They got good weapons. They're well coached. I've liked Pickett before this preseason, so him having a quality preseason like isn't a surprise, or I'm not a prisoner of the moment, which I've heard a lot of fans talk about. Like, oh, you're just a prisoner of the moment of preseason, of how good they played in preseason. And for me personally, like I say, like I play Dynasty, so I made a big trade for Pickett, because I believed he could be a guy that I could start as my quarterback too in a super flex league, and I needed a quarterback too. Is actually when uh what's his name? Uh Jets quarterback too. Why am I blanking on his name? Uh Jeez, help me out. Zach, Zach, Zach Wilson. Jeez, my God. Zach Wilson. I had to, when Zach Wilson got like benched, I had to trade him. So I traded Zach Wilson for Pickett. And I felt really good about that, to be honest. But I do pay attention to them. I have a tons of Pickens shares, so I'm well aware of what the Steelers are cooking with right now, and they got a good balance. They got a good 1-2 punch with Najee Harris and Warren. They've got quality. They have 3 quality receivers. Pickett is very similar to Brock Purdy. So we'll see. They got a good defense. We'll see. We'll see. So got to get healthy, right? That's it. Got to get healthy. We need all our pieces. We need all hands on deck. It's gonna be a great test to start the year. The first 3 games are gonna be interesting, right? So we need to be healthy during those games, and we know what it is. It has been this. I think I've been saying this since like 2019, 2018. If the 49ers biggest competition, or the 49ers biggest threat to them winning is not other teams, it's themselves. The 49ers for the last 4 years have been their own biggest threat to winning. And when I say themselves, meaning whether it's injury or self-inflicted wounds. The 49ers, if they're playing their brand of football and they are healthy, they can beat any team, any week, any given time. And I truly believe that. But where they find themselves fall short is really in the health category and just making mistakes. That's where they will stumble. Sometimes, like I would say the Atlanta Falcons last year, that particular game, the Atlanta Falcons just took it to the 49ers. They just played a better brand of football than the 49ers that day. But for the most part, any of the other losses, you can chalk it up to, you know, just mistakes, just not playing to your assignment, not doing what you're supposed to do, or losing depth or losing injuries at certain spots. So that's it. We got to check that box. We got to get healthy. We got to get everyone back. And we need our starters out there so that we can mitigate mistakes. We can limit mistakes, because when you have the starters out, everyone is going to be in a better position to make plays. So need to get healthy, need to get all that stuff. So I don't know. Speaking of health, though, I've seen this popping off since we've been on here, and I don't want to do a full season preview right now, but Cooper Cup suffered a hamstring setback. He will be day to day, but something you got to monitor, those soft tissue, man. Those soft tissue injuries can be lingering, and the 49ers will travel to LA to their beach home at Levi South, and they will be playing the Rams week 2 right after Pittsburgh. So Cup's got a couple weeks to get right, but hey, that's something that you got to keep a lookout for. Obviously, he's by far their number one weapon on offense. And if he's not available to go for the 49ers, that makes their chances even better week 2. So I'm gonna turn it over to you guys for a second. What other boxes do we need to check off? Because the quarterback situation, it's figured out, right? We can it's unbelievable, but we can actually check that box off. It really felt like that box was going to be left open all year. Oh, little side note on the quarterback stuff. I'm low key kind of laughing about it because the drama that was with us has followed Trey to Dallas. And I'm not laughing at Trey's expense. I'm laughing at the Dallas Cowboys expense just because like we've experienced it for the last couple years. And like I popped into a Twitter space last night because they were having to have like this like come to Jesus moment that Trey Lance wasn't going to challenge Dak Prescott for playing time because their fan base is already at each other's neck about Trey Lance taking Dak Prescott's job. So I just wanted to listen because it was the title of the space. And it's all these Cowboys creators just like, we got to get this through our heads. Trey Lance isn't taking Dak Prescott's job. Like, and they're just going back and forth. Like, Trey Lance is here to learn. He's here to improve and wait behind Dak and and they're just talking about like how their entire fan base is already clamoring for Trey to play over Dak. And I'm not gonna lie, I was just sitting back listening. Like again, like I feel bad for Trey. Like I feel bad for like the way the whole situation played out. But again, just to kind of remove yourself out of that drama for a second and already see that the drama has followed Trey to Dallas, and now the Dallas fan base is eating each other alive over Dak versus Trey. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just happy that we don't have to do that anymore because it was exhausting. Like, I'm not gonna like. You guys already know I talked about it all the time. Like we tried our best to not talk about the quarterback as much as we could, all off season and all that stuff. But I'm not gonna lie, to watch the Dallas fan base already fighting with each other, but it was also like a reflection on us at the same time. Like I was like, man, this is what we sounded like. Like I was like, this is what we've been doing for like the last 3 years, and just kind of sitting in that room, just kind of listening to them go back and forth and make all the justifications and like they had to like have a legitimate like therapy session of like Trey's not taking Dak's job. Like Trey's here to learn. Trey's here to be your backup. They're like all these fans already saying Trey's gonna take Dak's job. They're like this is how I'm like, wow. Like I was like, man. I was like, I'm just glad that's not us anymore. Like I get people are still upset about it, and I get people don't love still don't love the whole concept, and it's really hard to find anyone who does love the whole concept of everything from the draft to the trade and all of it. But I'm just glad not to be in the weeds of it anymore. I'm just glad that we don't have to deal with it anymore. Like that was such a weird situation to be a part of. Um, but it's just funny to see Dallas already at each other's necks over the same thing that we had just gone through for like 2-3 years. So it it was a little bit cathartic, a little bit therapeutic, because again, you know, they were trying to roast us too in the chat. You had a Rams dude in there, so they were like together, like trying to roast the 49ers at the same time, and it was just like, I'm sitting back, I feel, like that when you're in the situation and it's like almost like you have out of body of experience and like you're just like hovering over it with like no emotion. You're like, oh, that's what this feels like to like not have any invested emotion into any of this. And it felt good. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm happy Trey found a new spot. I'm happy the 49ers have a quarterback. I'm happy that we don't have to argue about it anymore. And I'm kind of finding delight in watching Dallas Cowboys fans rip each other apart about it, and then you have a Rams fan just taking shots at the 49ers. They have a whole rap about Kyle Shanahan. I'm not gonna lie, the rap was pretty good. Um, it was to like a 21 Savage song, and it was about basically dissing Kyle Shanahan. I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty quality work. The production value is through the roof. But I was again, I'm like, I don't got a dog in this fight. Like I'm just chilling. So it was pretty interesting to be on the other side of it for once because we've just been so inundated with all of that, like infighting and people complaining and moaning and bitching nonstop. Like it just felt good to just watch other people do that. I'm like, ah, feels good to watch the Cowboys do this to each other, not us anymore. But anyways, what other boxes do we need to check for the off season where we feel like the 49ers are in a good spot? Like what other things do we need to do? Again, I went through it's pay Bosa. Oh, we need to do captains. Who's gonna do who's gonna be our captain? So I did a projection today on who I thought the captains were. I actually think I'm already changing that because I didn't even think about it after I put it out. Someone was like, "Oh, you should." What about? So I'll tell you what my team captain projections are. I have Fred Warner, Trent Williams, George Kittle, Eric Armstead, Brock Purdy, Talanoa Hufanga, and Nick Bosa. I think I would actually switch Hufanga with CMC because I do think CMC has already become such a pivotal locker room person and a leader and all that type of stuff. So I'd probably switch Talanoa with CMC, and if they were to keep 8, it would be probably Debo, but my dark horse would be Ayuk. I don't know if Ayuk's quite there yet, but he'd be my dark horse captain. So I've seen teams across the league putting out captains. We haven't done that yet, so I'll assume we're going to wait a little bit, especially to figure out because Nick Bosa was a captain last year, and based on how the contract negotiation has gone, I don't think that would deter them from giving him the captain again because I think he's handled the negotiation well. He hasn't scrubbed his social media. He hasn't made a public display in any form. He's been quiet, and we all these players understand that business is business and football is football, and the two can mix. But at the end of the day, I don't think Bosa has done anything um, from an outside perspective that would not, like, again, you look at all the, like, the Bosa stuff versus the Debo stuff. It's pretty polar opposites with how each have been handled, at least from like a media perspective, outside perspective. So that might have had something to do with Debo not getting it last year because I do think he was like either seventh or eighth, and the 49ers only opted to keep six. So I think this year they go to seven, maybe eight. Maybe it's Debo, maybe it's EMC, maybe it's Talanoa Hufanga. We'll find out. Uh, we'll find out. Okay, so I am doing a live tomorrow, so we're gonna have a special guest on tomorrow. I'm pretty excited about this particular guest because of just the insight that I think he'll be able to provide on some of kind of the topics that we've been talking about up until this point. So tomorrow at 12:30 Pacific Standard Time, 3:30 Eastern Time, I'm going to have former 49ers wide receiver Mohamed Sanu on the channel. And the reason why I wanted to bring Mohamed Sanu onto the channel is because he played with Kyle Shanahan in Atlanta, and then he played with Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco. So he's had experience with Kyle Shanahan as the OC wide receiver coach in Atlanta, and then he's had experience with Kyle Shanahan as the head coach with the San Francisco 49ers. He was on the team in 2020. He came back in 2021. So if you remember, he was working out with Trey Lance all summer. He was kind of mentoring Trey Lance when Trey was drafted. So, and he was also there when Brandon Ayuk went through his ups and downs. So, I'm really excited to have Mo Sanu on because one, he was a really quality player when he was out there playing. Two, he had two different stints with the San Francisco 49ers, and he's been with Kyle Shanahan a ton. So I think he'll have a ton of just great perspective on the locker room, on kind of Trey Lance's development, on kind of the quarterback situation as a whole, all of that stuff. So I'm really looking forward to having Mohamed Sanu on tomorrow, 12:30, 3:30 Pacific Eastern Standard Time. So I'm excited. I'm excited about that. I think he'll have some good stuff for us. So we'll have Mo Sanu on. Looking forward to that for sure. So stay tuned for that. We'll have that tomorrow for you guys at 12:30. Would love to see all the guys, all the SDS in the chat. It'd be a lot of fun. So that's what we got cooking for tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that. Luke says, Brad, I've never played fantasy football. If I did, what is a good drafting strategy and the idea behind it as far as importance for points, etc.? We could do a whole show on that. It depends if you're in a standard league, if you're in PPR. That changes your thought process. You're probably in a one quarterback league. Depends if you're 3 wide receiver, 2 running back flex. Depends if you're 2 wide receiver, 2 running back flex. It depends on how the roster's structured. It depends on where you're drafting. So if you're in a 12-team league, if you're a 10-team league, if you're an 8-team league, and then where you're drafting in order. There's fantasy football shouldn't have that much strategy, but there is. I think one of the main things to obviously figure out is if you're in a PPR league or standard league. If you're in a PPR, it's points per catch. So you get more points based on people who catch the ball a lot. So you get a lot of points if you have like a guy who gets peppered with targets, like an Austin Eckler, Christian McCaffrey. Those guys are PPR dreams because they are going to have touchdown upside as runners, but they're also going to be able to catch out of the backfield. So there's a lot. There's a lot to it, but honestly, you just got to hop into one. Just hop into one. Start playing. You don't need to be great, right off the bat. You really don't. Just hop into one and fly by the seat of your pants. You'll figure it out. And might not be the best year one, but you'll figure it out. And by year two, you'll be ready to go. So literally, it's you can have this like locked in strategy and all this type of stuff, but I've seen people with zero who do not pay attention to fantasy football at all, and they win leagues. It's just about, hitting on the right guys. A lot of it's just luck, it's luck of the draw sometimes. You can have this whole strategy going into a draft and your entire strategy goes out the window because your players get sniped and it destroys your strategy. So people spend a lot of time on it, but again, just hop in, just play. You'll figure it out. Have I ever watched the show The League? Yeah, I have. I actually just watched it back like a month or two ago. Great show for sure. It's hilarious. But yeah, man. So obviously we are on Nick Bosa watch. We are waiting to see what's going to happen with him, when he's going to get paid, all that type of stuff. And we are so close. We are so close to getting out of this off season, and I'm very much looking forward to that. Turning the page towards week one and getting ready to go and start focusing on winning football games. And I'm very excited about that. So as always, appreciate everyone for tapping in to the live. Smash the like button if you haven't already. Like I said, we're going to have Mohamed Sanu, former 49er, former Atlanta Falcon. I think he's a former third-round draft pick. Put up some quality production in his time. Fun fact, he has like a perfect passer rating as a quarterback. So definitely looking forward to that. Wouldn't it be something if we had the Bosa deal break while on live with Sanu? But tap in for tomorrow. So because I think he'll have a ton of great insight on Kyle Shanahan, on kind of the situation with the quarterback, because he was here when Jimmy and Trey were in the room together. So he's going to know all about that. And we'll ask him a couple questions on it and what he thinks the 49ers are going to do, all that good stuff. So tap in tomorrow. Mohamed Sanu on the channel, 12:30 Pacific Standard Time, 3:30 Eastern, and it'll be right here. It'll be right here on YouTube. So appreciate you guys as always. I'm out of here for now. Peace. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to